we've always tried to never condescend to our children and never dumb things down for them. I mean, you don't speak to them as you would speak to another adult, but you don't treat them like idiots either. I actually have a very clear memory of being something like 5 years old at a family gathering, and I got so angry because some woman who was a member of the extended family was just being really condescending. And I remember thinking, do you think I'm an idiot?
Yeah, you're just little. That doesn't mean you're stupid. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're listening to Party 93.4, and I'm mixologist Melody Brooke. Today we have Alex McCord of the Real Housewives of New York City, and she's going to be talking this hour about her experiences with relationships, both her own personal relationship and her relationships on the show. And I'm curious, Alex, how the show has affected your relationship with Simon. I mean, I can imagine having a camera on so much personal aspects of my life, so many hours of my life. What's that like for you?
Well, it's interesting. It certainly opens us up to people commenting on our relationship.
Yes.
And there are things that we certainly weren't prepared for, because it's an experience that not everyone has when aspects of your relationship are on television for everyone to kind of dissect. And one thing we learned is that everybody has an opinion about what it is that they see, or what it is that they think they see even.
Right.
And it's always different. It makes me laugh that two people can watch the same five minutes of television, and one will be absolutely convinced that the person meant X, and one will absolutely be convinced that the person meant something completely different.
That's so much information about relationships, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
Because each of us do that. None of us sees things in exactly the same way.
No, it's funny. Everyone sees things through their own filter, and if Simon might make a speech that lasts for a minute, different people will pick out different sentences in whatever it is he said and think that that's everything he's saying. And I remember one thing that was really interesting in the second season that just aired. There was a time when Simon and I were in the back of a car on my birthday, and he got really upset because, actually you didn't really see why he was upset. You just saw him being upset. And everybody had so much to say about why was he upset? Was he upset at me? Was he upset at somebody else? What was going on? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was funny because the actual experience that we had while we were filming was him being angry at the crew because things didn't go according to plan, and it had nothing to do with anyone who was actually on camera. And I remember when it happened thinking, oh boy, and I put my head in my hands, oh boy, no one is going to understand why this is happening.
Why he's really upset.
We'll be on the show, and people will think that the two of us are fighting, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, everyone did.
Oh, that's so funny, because what that reminds me of is every time that Oprah and Stedman are together and she has a frown on her face, it's like, oh, they're breaking up, It's it's the same kind of thing.
But people will always attach their own meaning to what it is that they see. And it's difficult because when they film us for the show, they film us for hours and only a few minutes get used.
Right.
We did the math in season 1. Our family was filmed for about 5,000 minutes. And of the entire series that was shown, about 63 minutes of all the episodes was our family.
Wow.
So from 5,000 minutes down to 63 minutes, that's about 1.5%.
Talk about sound bites.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, if I take 1.5% of your life, I can make it look however I want.
That's right. You can edit it to whatever drama you want. Yeah. So has it had an effect on your relationship at all?
It has forced us to even communicate more with each other. I mean, when I was saying earlier that you have to obsessively communicate with each other, I don't think we'd articulated that prior to this show. It was just something that we sort of did. but it's definitely made us look at what we've seen, and not only what's been on the show, but also interviews that we've given, pieces written about us by other people, and just be very clear with one another. And I think that when you do a show like this, there's no middle ground. It is either going to bring you closer or push you apart. And we're very lucky and grateful for the fact that it has brought us together. It's different to do a reality show where the whole family is on it versus one spouse being an actor, because what we have not experienced ever is the thing that sometimes actor spouses feel of being left out. Hasn't happened because we're in this together.
Right.
And also, when our feet are held to the fire by people who react to whatever it is they see on the show, it's both of us. Probably the most, the hardest thing to get used to was people commenting on our children. And I think that a lot of times people who enjoy reality TV don't really have a good idea of how it's put together, and you don't expect them to. You don't expect people to know the ins and outs of television production. But one thing that I always say and also having young children on it is very much a skill that you have to learn. And in the first season, we signed on to this not having ever watched reality TV before. And when I say that, I'm not being facetious and I'm not exaggerating. We literally had not watched reality TV before, not even a little bit. And so we weren't prepared for how it was put together and how things that we see in the moment would wind up looking on TV. And I had a background for 10 years as an actor, and I realized how very, very different it is, because I've said to a few people that I think that having an acting background actually is a liability when you do a reality show, because you're very used to being directed to play a character that isn't you.
Right. It's very different than being yourself.
Right, exactly. And at the same time, when you do a reality show, you're meant to be yourself, but you're also trying to make really good TV.
Right.
We both felt in the first season that we got pushed out of what was real for us in many cases. So when we did the second season, we were relentless with making sure that if we were asked to do something that was out of character, we would not do it. And we would sit down. If, for example, there was a situation where the producers asked Simon to do Pilates on the beach. And he and I have barely heard of Pilates. I know it's a form of exercise, and that's about it. But it's certainly something we would never actually do.
Yeah, where's the reality TV in that? Yeah.
So we sat down and said, listen, I don't even know what they are. This is crazy. We can't do this. I said, what's the goal here? And after a little bit of back and forth, we found out that the goal was that they wanted to do something on the beach and they wanted to do something athletic. And I said, okay, fine. We will go for a run and a swim, and then we'll lie down on towels and talk. And that actually wound up being on the show, and that was fine, because it was something that was very real for us. And that's just one example, but we tried to do that throughout the whole series.